Hi babes, it's Tasia and welcome back to my channel. And this is You Listen I Yeah. Oh, sorry. Y'all, my mental has been horrific. So this is the first day in a long list of days that I have been feeling good. So as you guys can tell by that title, today we're gonna be doing, so you know, I don't typically have like a, what's it called? I'm trying to pull up my list while I talk to y'all. I don't typically have like planned points for You Listen I normally just talk off the dome. But however, comma, in my efforts to escape my reality of my current life right now, I have been watching a lot of media thanks to my brother's Netflix account. So yeah guys, I have so much more to talk to you, and then not to mention, March is the month of media. Euphoria season 3, BTS comeback. As a baby army, this is my first one, and I just gotta say, clear the L. And then Hannah Montana coming back March is the month. Okay, March is the month for the media. So yeah, no better time to have put that phone down, because y'all know I'm trying to break a social media addiction. So no better time to have put that phone down and focus on the media than this month. But before we go any further, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into the video. I'm gonna sit right here. I'm gonna slide right here so that that lamp in the back won't be distracting. Okay, y'all, if y'all see me looking down, I have notes. Okay, so first thing we're gonna talk about is Singles Inferno. So if you guys don't know what Singles Inferno is, it is a Korean dating show, and the way, this is a Korean dating show, and the way they worded what it was had me like, So if you look at the description on Netflix, it says something along the lines of like Korean dating show with survival games or something like that. No, baby. No. Like, Love Island has more complex games than what they had. They were playing dodgeball. They were playing like tug of war. Like, I don't really think anything really qualified as like survival. Like, I don't know. Like, the one thing I could think of maybe was like there was a scene where like they had put like the bag of food over the water, and one of the guys had to like climb and get it. That was about it. That was about as survival as it got. Oh, and then the first night they was making them eat raw carrots and tuna. Now that was crazy. But yeah. Anyway, so this was my first year watching Singles Inferno, and this is season 5 that we're going to be talking about. So I did see on YouTube that a lot of people were saying that since a lot of people are just now watching Singles Inferno this season, to go back and watch seasons 1 and 2 and don't watch season 3, or was it don't watch season 4? I can't remember, but it was like one of them seasons you can skip. And then apparently one of the panelists actually used to be on the show. So I'm just like, Dex. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. He's so cute. Anyways, so today how we're gonna do this is there's like certain talking points I have written down, and there's certain things off the dome that I'm gonna say. So this is probably gonna be like a chatty video. If you guys like videos like this where I talk about the different types of media I consume, let me know, because I do have a video coming what media I consumed this winter as we are preparing for spring. Also, do you guys like my lily necklace? She's so cute. Lilies are my favorite flowers. And yes, also, okay, polo dude from Shein, thank you. Anyways, let's get into it. Okay, so when I was watching Singles Inferno, I was like, okay, so this is as a girly who watches Love Island. And again, I don't know what it is about me coming into shows seasons and seasons and seasons and seasons later, but my first Love Island experience was Love Island season 6. Allegedly, it is the best season of Love Island. So this past summer, when Love Island season 7 was coming out, I was watching it every night, subjecting my mental health to things that irreversible damage, most likely, because we're looking at juice and stuff. It's okay. But anyways, as I was watching season 6 of Love Island, I really loved like the concept of like putting all these singles on an island and just introducing different factors, like different people, different games, friendships, stuff like that. And they're secluded. They have no phone. They have no access to the outside world. So you have no choice but to actually communicate, which is something that we as a society don't know how to do anymore. And as somebody with a degree in communications and whose favorite class was interpersonal communications, the effects are showing now. Because what do you mean you're using AI to send a text message? We don't even talk on the phone anymore. And you need AI to send a text message for you? You don't know how to write a text? Anyways, let me get off. This is not what this video is about. Anyways, sorry. Okay. So, I love the concept of you have to actually discuss, communicate, assimilate, speak with each other in order to build bonds. And yeah, that's really, really cool. It's a really, really cool concept. So Singles Inferno takes kind of a similar route. They put these people on an island. Apparently it's a very hot island, which is why it's called Inferno. And the only way you can get off this island is like you write down on like a piece of paper, like, oh, I like this person. And then if this person says they like you back, then y'all get to go to paradise, which is like a day or two, depending on who went and when they went, where they take you on like a date and then they take you to this nice hotel. And one thing I loved about the show was the wholesomeness of the show. Now, like I said, my experience with dating shows is very limited to Love Island. Love Island at times is very raunchy, disgusting. Do you guys not know this is national television? So watching Singles Inferno was like a breath of fresh air. And I do know that in Korea, they tend to be more conservative about things like kissing. And even holding hands was like, when they were holding hands, I was like, they're holding hands. Like, I love that. I love that because we as a society in America are a very secular society now. Like, we didn't always used to be like that. But in modern times, we are like that now. Like, we are a very secular society, and a lot of like cultures and a lot of countries look at us and they're like, in public, like. Now I have heard through the grapevine, because y'all know I dibble and dabble in everybody's culture's business. Thank you TikTok, thank you YouTube, thank you overall general nosiness. And I have heard that that is something that Korea portrays through its media, but it is not actually something that is actually happening. Yeah. So I'm not sure about if that is true or false or not, because I live in America, so I wouldn't know. But that's what I've heard. But anyways, I have also consumed a lot of different Asian media, even like Thai BLs and stuff like that. They don't kiss until like, if like, let's say like the season's like 13, 14 episodes. Most of the time, like, well, it's kind of different now because like Thailand is becoming more and more kind of similar to America as far as like like being as open about sexuality and sexual themes and stuff like that. But like if you look at like old ones like 2020, really anything pre-Kim Porsche, if you look at that, it takes them like 5-6 episodes before they kiss. And so it's just like they really put a focus in their media on getting to know a person, actually genuinely dating a person, actually genuinely having a friendship with this person, liking a person, feeling what it feels like to like a person for a couple of days. Can we get back to that? As like, can we get back to like courting? Can we get back to like feeling emotions? Like, y'all just want to hump, and that's so nasty. That's so nasty. Y'all here ping ponging diseases and ugh. Anyways, so again, not the topic for this video. It's really nice and a really cool change of pace to watch a dating show where the emphasis is not on really sexuality, like honing in and like really putting a pressure on its contestants to just be sexual. I'm not saying the men aren't fine. They are fine. But what I'm saying is the whole premise of the show is not like, oh, you like this guy? Twerk on him. Like, they were literally playing like, they it was funny. They tricked them. They had them come out to this campfire and they had like soju and beer and they got them all liquored up, and then they said, we're going to play the truth game. Like, not y'all giving them the truth serums. Not y'all, because y'all knew the liquid courage was going to come out. And that game was messy. So anyways, yes. First of all, also, another thing I liked about the show, the panelists, because a lot of the times I am my own panelist when it comes to watching anything. Reality TV, which I'm not a big consumer of reality TV. Only reality TV I have ever consumed was Love Island and now Singles Inferno. But when it comes to like any form of media, music, books, YouTube videos, movies, I am my own panelist. So to see there is a panelist of judges who is literally watching what we're seeing in real time, making judgments and making comments that I myself was saying, was just like, oh wow, this is really cool. Like, this is like really a really cool concept. Okay, period. So yeah, I really liked that about the show. Another thing I really liked about the show, the girls and the boys were all in separate rooms. In Love Island, you say you like a person the first night, you're in the bed. In the bed. I don't know about that one. So it was really nice to see like the boys and the girls are literally in their own separate room. And I also feel like as women, this is something I can feel that prefrontal lobe developing, because something that I have learned as a woman, we need our space separate from men. We need our space separate from men. We need our space to just be girls, to just feel feminine, to just be able to just get ready. Now, of course, in Love Island, they do give them like their little get ready stations, but they still have to like get ready and then shower and then just go hop in bed with this man. So it was just like, it was nice and it was cool to see like girls like actually sleeping in just a t-shirt and some shorts, or like them actually being like roommates. You know how girls do, like being roommates and gossiping and chit-chatting about the different guys they liked and stuff like that comfortably, because the guys weren't right there beside them in the bed. You know what I'm saying? So that was really cool. Another thing that I also found really cool was that they had them making food. Now, granted, when they was giving them raw carrots and tuna, I was like, maybe this is a survival show. That's kind of crazy. Because if it was my first night on this stranded island, you hand me raw carrots and tuna, I'm not going to be the most happy-go-lucky girl, because I'm going to be sitting here looking like, is this we're about to keep eating? And then when they were going to paradise, they was fattening them up. It was giving them lobster. They was giving all types of stuff. I was like, oh, so y'all do have the budget. Y'all just playing. Y'all are just playing. But anyways, as the show progressed, it did, like, the food options did get better. I guess it was just supposed to be like, oh, like, earn good food. I don't know. But anyways, yes. And then something else I liked that the men were approaching the women. Of course, like, the women would, like, put little feelers out there, or, like, kind of, like, go up to a guy and be like, oh, do you need help setting the table? Or do you need help washing the vegetables or something like that? But the men, for the most part, were doing all the initiating. And that is what the fans want to see. Who's going to be the boys? It's something that is really prevalent in the US and is really prevalent in our media. And I'm sick of it. Like, there are certain things that I personally believe men should do. And I personally believe that a man should approach a woman. And if you approach the man first, then after you put it out there, from there, he should take the reins. If he does not, run, because you're going to always, sorry, it's trauma. Run, because you're going to always be the one initiating everything, paying for everything, doing everything, and you're supposed to be the girl. Anyways, so I really liked the show. I really enjoyed watching the show. It put me in my feminine energy, which was really crazy. I was like, okay, period. And, I also, like I said, I really liked the setting, really, truly. Like, we got to see, like, it was raining sometime. We got to see, like, chivalrous men. It was actually really cool. And we got to see, like, different, and also another aspect of the show I liked was that we got to see different people who wouldn't typically be in the same room together, like a track star and a dancer and a school student and a New Yorker. And, these people would not typically maybe choose to like associate and like come together without an experience like this. And we got to see them come together and not even know their occupation or their age. So they really got to they really got to like each other off of the vibes and what they was presenting. There was no preconceived notions like, oh, you're this age, so you need to be doing this, this, and this. Oh, you work this, so you make this much money. There was none of that. You did not get to know a person's age or occupation until you both sat down and was like, I like you too. And then y'all went and then y'all could have that discussion. That was the only way you could have that discussion. So I also really like that because it took away a lot of biases, and I really feel like it put unlikely pairs together. Okay, so on to my talking points. So the first one I have is Cheminasu. Girl, I could never form a solid opinion on you. And this is what I mean. I feel like she is the definition of somebody who has become Americanized, and I'm gonna say why. So on the show, typically, like when a girl would be like, "Oh, I like this guy," or when she would be around this guy, it was like an unspoken sort of rule that, like, yeah, you can still talk to him, but at the end of the day, like, he's gonna come back to me because that's my guy. But Chemi Nasu, she was a girl that came on the show a little bit after. She was like the second round of contestants. And people are calling her male-centered online and like making a lot of preconceived notions about her character. I don't really feel like that's fair because we don't know this girl from a can of paint. And I can understand that she lives in the United States. She grew up in Korea, but she lives in the United States. And like I said, a lot of these people were in Korea their whole life. So they probably have seen bits and pieces of like, you know, how Americans do things, but haven't actually lived the American experience. And in America, for some odd reason, this whole thing of try every flavor, date multiple people, do whatever you want to do until you find the one gets spread. Like nobody wants to like sit down and genuinely get to know one person and build upon a relationship of one person anymore. And unfortunately, she brought that kind of energy into a setting where that is not the case. I quickly learned that Korea, or the Koreans they had on the show, because I don't want to make a general analysis of a culture I do not know. But from what I was gathering from the show, this is not something that goes on often in Korea, or if it is, it's not public. And even by the way the different panelists were reacting, that also kind of aided in like helping me to come to that conclusion, because it was like she would talk to multiple dudes because she does not know these people. So she would talk to multiple dudes and try to get a feel for them, and then she would say, one day she would say, "Oh, I like this guy," and then the next day she would say, "Oh, I like this guy," and it was just like the way. And I also really low-key feel like she got a bad edit because of the culture that she kind of tried to bring that into. Because if she did the same exact thing on Love Island, nobody would fault her for it. Nobody would bat an eye because that's kind of a very American thing to do. But because she brought that mess over there she was the villain. She was painted as the villain many times. And sometimes it was a little bit justified, like whenever they were at the fireplace and they were playing the truth game. And what is that boy's name? Subin, he was upset with her, so he started doing petty stuff. So since he started doing petty stuff, she started doing petty stuff. And in her doing petty stuff, she said that she liked Sung Il after she told Subin that she liked him. And she was like, "Can I change my answer from what I said earlier?" And it was just like, sister, no. Like, no. And like everybody was like, I mean, I guess, like, sure. But the way they edited that was so crazy. Like, they did that, like, it was just such a, like, she hates him. She no longer has no feelings in the world. And kind of, like, the way the panelists reacted, I was like, dang. And then there was the time whenever they were picking, who they wanted to, like, do the pictures with. And, she wanted to do hers with Subin, but his son had picked him. And so she quite literally forgot everybody's name, like all the other dudes' names. It gave me secondhand embarrassment. But I can understand that, like, if you thought you were going to be with this guy and then someone else picks him and you didn't think you were going to have to pick anybody else, I can understand getting flustered. But it was just like, I felt like the way they edited her in some parts, it just seemed like they needed a villain. I have to see the other seasons to see, is that like a common thing, like they have villains like on the show? Because then that would make a lot of sense. Like even on Love Island, they have a villain. Sometimes it's justified. Huda, we're looking at you, sister. But sometimes it's not. Like they tried to make Leah look like a bully in season 6 of Love Island, and it was just like, how is she the bully? Like whenever they're jumping her over something that wasn't even true. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, anyways, so there was that. And the reason why I also say is I'll never form a solid opinion on you is that if she did things in a way that was like, more communicative, where she spoke with the girls like, oh, I know you like this dude, but is it cool with you if I talk with him? Or like, hey, like, I'm feeling this dude, I think I'm gonna talk to him today. I feel like they wouldn't have minded, because a lot of girls did that and there was no issue. But the way in which she kind of did things would be like, let's say we're sitting in the room, we're talking, we're chatting, and then everybody's like, oh, but how are you and Subin doing? And she'd be like, we're okay, but you know what? I think I like your man. I'm taking your man. Like, literally, that's kind of how she would do things. And then there was literally like one scene where she was talking with Minji about like, oh, I don't like Sung Il. Like, I don't like him like that. And then he literally comes into the room, gets her. She spins and twirls in front of this girl's face, kind of like, ha, he picked me. But then in the reunion, she tried to spin it and say, no, I didn't mean it like that. I meant it like, it was tension. And like, I meant to like laugh. Like, haha, it was funny. I'm sorry, you're lying, sister. You're lying through your teeth. You're lying through your teeth. You wanted to rub it in that girl's face, and rub it in her face you did do. So it was just like, that's why I said I could never form a soft opinion on her, because even like if she would have went to that reunion and been like, okay, well, I was unapologetically me, and like, hey, yes, there were some things I could have done better, but at the end of the day, I wanted to be me, raw and unfiltered, would have had so much more respect for her than whenever they were looking at like how she looked. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Oh, I didn't mean to say it like that. Oh, I didn't. Girl, who are you fooling? But anyways, I'm off her. So, during the show, my favorite guy, by far, was Jae-jin. From the moment he walked in and they put that goofy-eyed music behind him, I was weak. I was like, why is he walking like that? Thought he has to be a monk. He has to be someone who practices some sort of spirituality, to where slow and intention and all that is the source, because what is his deal? And he was the funniest guy. He was really funny at the end when he yelled in Joo Young's face. That was scary. And I was just like, why would he do that? But like, I'm glad she found it funny. I would have screamed. But yeah, he was my favorite guy. He was very sweet. And to find out he was a poet, that's what the fans want to see. A poet and a dancer? Where's mine? Where's mine? So I loved him down. And my favorite girl was Hee-sun, because yes, Miss Beauty and Miss Brains, Carnegie Mellon, we're in the presence of greatness. Hello. So my favorite couples were Jae-jin and Joo Young. Yes, I was so happy that in the end they chose each other, as they should. And then, this is going to be shocking, but my favorite couple was Gon and Egon. I'm sorry. When she picked Sungmin, I said, The crowd was confused. I said, who? And because low-key, baby, I forgot about him. When they were in Paradise, Gon and Egon, and sorry for the pronunciation, I am not Korean. Baby, that pool scene alone, I'm sitting here wondering if I should come to you. What you thinking? Oh, I'm thinking if you can come to me. They write movies about stuff like that. Even the panelists were like, are we interrupting? And I said, I wouldn't be mad if they kissed. I know it's against the rules, but I wouldn't be mad if they kissed, because like the tension, the chemistry, and you pick Sungmin, girl, and that's exactly why it didn't work out. And when they were doing the reunion, and she said it didn't work, I said, go get your man, because even whenever they was doing the reunion, her and Egon flirting right in front of that man's face, I knew that. I said, either her and Sungmin ain't together no more, or they're not gonna be together for long, because that's her man. Like, why did she even play like that? And I genuinely feel like it was because Sungmin was coming at her so hard. And let me tell you about a man that comes to you so hard like that. 9 times out of 10. 9.5 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10. If a man is coming for you like this, when he sees that you have options and you're the number one pick for not one but 2 other guys, of course once he gets you, he's going to stop trying. And that's why they probably broke up. I don't know these people from the can of paint, but I have personal experience with it. Once a man knows he's got you, he does not try no more. And that's sick. That's so sick. But yeah. All right. I've spent 24 minutes talking about Singles Inferno, and we have something else to talk about. The shit show that was Reality Check. Let me sip my water. All right. If you do not know what Reality Check is, baby, you've been under a rock. That very rock that Patrick Star lives under. But Reality Check is a documentary that came out on Netflix on February 16th about none other than the infamous America's Next Top Model. In one of my vlogs, I told you guys I was watching it, and I told you guys like some of my like opinions, but I wanted to use this Netflix themed podcast episode to go more in depth about what I feel. Grab your snacks. This is probably going to be another 25 minutes because Tyra, Jay, Miss J, Nigel, come to the front, Book. Sit down. Okay. First of all, my experience with America's Next Top Model is in two segments. The first segment is growing up. I was born in 2001. So when I was growing up, there were still cycles of America's Next Top Model coming out. I remember on the Saturdays when my mom or my sister would braid my hair, sometimes America's Next Top Model would be on the TV, but I was getting my hair done. So it was really more so like background noise. And I remember the certain episodes where they would do the makeovers. And I remember the girls crying and bawling their eyes out. And because they had to chop off their hair or they had to get painful extensions as white women of weave into their hair. Why? I don't know, because white women have their own form of extensions that they get, do they not? So I'm confused as to why they had to get them like we do, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And then I also remember the infamous walking on, what was it, where the gongs was going through. I remember seeing that episode. I remember seeing the episode where they were walking on a literal, what was it, like a skyscraper type of thing. I remember the episode where they had to wear those heels this high and one girl broke her ankle or twisted her ankle. I remember those things, but I didn't really remember like ever sitting down. Like my family never really every weekday or whatever day came out was like, oh, America's Next Top Model was like, no, I was a Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network type of girly. Fast forward to 2020 though, 2021, I remember me and my friends, we would when we would get out of class, we would get some food from the student center, and then we would go sit down in a study room and do no studying. We would put America's Next Top Model on the TV, and we would watch it. And I remember watching it and thinking, what in the world? Because the way they would speak to these women, the way they would treat these women, the way they would dog these women out, the challenges they would have these women doing, had me shocked and confused. I was genuinely trying to figure out what kind of modeling needs a white woman to put on blackface. What type of person tells someone who's already stick thin, you're fat? Like, it was just, And I understand that certain things like that is a product of its time. I understand that nuance is very important. But let the record show that it was wrong even back then. So a big sentiment that they kept saying, oh, it was just a different time. It was just a different time. And it was still wrong, Bookie. It was. That's just like if I punched you in the face for no reason 20 years ago and you say, I don't like you because you punched me in the face. And I say, well, that was 20 years ago. It was a different time. Well, I still punched you in the face. Did I not? Like, I'm really confused. Like, what does that even really truly mean? Right. And it was still problematic, nevertheless. So, first thing I want to say is, Tyra, girl, you need to count your days, sister, because you're not sorry. It was very prevalent from episode 1, because it was a 3-part docuseries. It was very prevalent for episode 1, what this documentary was meant to do. What it was advertised to be was an expose on the problematic things that occurred on America's Next Top Model. And so that could be taken in many different ways. Of course, that was very vague. It could have been taken in like Tyra bringing old, contestants on to the reality show and actually apologizing to them, letting them know that, I was wrong. I was going after ratings and I did exploit you and I apologized. That could have been a route. It could have been a route where they explained why Like, why? Like, what was the reason? Not, it wasn't me, I didn't do it. No, why? Why did this white woman have to put on blackface? Why were y'all making this girl seem like she was eating 15 bagels when all you did was replay the same clip over and over? Why would y'all film someone's SA? Why would y'all let all these girls come on this show knowing that the whole premise of the show, which is becoming America's Next Top Model, was not going to be a reality? Why? So that could have been a route. They could have also had one kind of episode be about Tyra, her upbringing, why she wanted to do the show, and then the next one be about the contestants, and then the contestants and Tyra and the judges could have like a kind of like a round table type of thing and like sit there and like actually hash things out. The girls could get the stuff off their chest and get the closure that they needed, or between them all, really, between Miss J, Nigel, and Tyra, and Ken. And they could have just like kind of done like a airing it out type of thing and just sort of being like, you know, now that we're in this new era and this new millennium, what we did was wrong and we want to apologize and we want to give you guys a platform to, you know, like just bring this sort of stuff to the table, because a lot of the problematic things that was going on America's Next Top Model is actually unfortunately making a resurgence in 2026. Diet culture and really pushing stick thin skinny bodies is back in. And as somebody who I do not condone stick thin, frail, cocaine, cigarette, Diet Coke skinny. And I also don't condone 800-pound, not taking care of yourself, kind of my 600-pound life type bodies neither. I feel like you should do what is best for you and your body and what is healthy for you and your body. Either end of the spectrum is not a good place to be. Super, super skinny, super, super big. That's kind of where I stand with it. And I'm kind of what would be called like mid-size. So off rip, they will already be calling me a plus size model because like I have a bigger chest and then I have a body on me and I wear size 14 in pants. So it's just like, and I wear size 10 in shoes. So it's like they would have been calling me all types of obese and humongous and huge, because what you mean a size 6 is a plus size model? Baby, a size 6 is quite small, actually. Quite skinny. But okay. Okay, all right. But it was a different time. Like, that right there kept pissing me off. I should have sat there and tallied how many times they said it was a different time on that damn documentary, because they said it that much amongst everybody. But anyways, where I was going with that is I understand nuance. And I understand that, you know, okay, there is a model archetype. I do not understand someone whose initial reasoning behind making this show was to give girls a platform who the world may not see as beautiful, or who may not even give an opportunity, the opportunity of a lifetime. That was the original premise of the show. And to stray so far from that because shows like Survivor and Fear Factor were booming, girl, that had nothing to do with nothing. It seemed like to me, she sat in her room and said, I'm going to cycle out the same 3 excuses. It was all y'all's fault. It was a product of the time. And look at what else was on TV. When you said the whole reason why you wanted to do this whole show was because you were discriminated against. You felt like you were improperly serviced during your time as a model, because at that time when she was a model, there could only be one black model. And unfortunately for her, but fortunately for us, the one who came up on top was Naomi. Naomi was the one who outdid Tyra. And I genuinely felt like Tyra never let that go and never healed from that, because she believed that because she was a light-skinned, green-eyed, good-haired model, that she should have had the opportunity over Naomi, who was dark-skinned. Colorism will always find its way. It has since slavery. Goes all the way back to the house slaves and the field slaves. It always does, and it always will, because colorism doesn't go, it has not left the fabric of America. A lot of things that came from slavery has not, but especially in our community, and especially during a time where they're like, well, there can only be one. And at that time, the given would have been the light-skinned, green-eyed, but maybe Naomi was just the better model. And from what I've seen, I think that might have been the case. And I genuinely feel like what started out as like a platform for what she said was platforming what America thinks is beautiful, but then showing them what is beautiful. I think what started out as something like that quickly turned into exploitation, cash grab, money, shock value. And that's how these women who were young, 18 to like 20 something, and I'm young and I'm 24. So it's just like, I can only imagine being 18, fresh out of high school, or even still in high school, thinking, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to change my family's life. I'm going to be a model. And I go on TV and I get essayed. And You got packages. Can you please open? Yeah. Oh, okay. Why would you get them all like that?
Because
I was like, look at this. Amazon is dramatic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's for a different video. Y'all like the fit? Thank ya. I don't even remember what I was saying. But yeah, and getting a lot of these girls, like she was saying, like she has said that people they come and get the white girls at the trailer parks all the time, but no one comes and gets the black girls out the ghetto. Like from the jump, after she's seen how successful season 1 had became, it was all about exploitation, and you can't tell me no different. Once pockets started getting fatter, and once she started to realize, oh, this is what the people want to see, I feel like that whatever the original intention was immediately went out the window. And you can see it. You can literally see it in the trajectory of how the seasons was going. When certain contestants that came back for the documentary were talking about certain things, it was just like, okay, season 1, prime example. You wanted to show that it was dead wrong for them to tell you there could only be one black girl. Proceeded to have only one black girl on season 1. It's just like, what? And then it sounds like you fought harder to have a Hispanic woman, which, yes, you should have had a Hispanic woman on there. Yes. But it sounds like you fought harder for that than to make sure that they were not singled out and othered, because it seemed like they were the only 2 minorities on that season. And then not only that, you exploited another, like, to me, I don't think anybody ever would want them getting a Brazilian wax on national TV. So you exploited that girl, and then you proceeded to call the dark-skinned woman, you proceeded to call her ashy, you proceeded to have her have stylists above her head, mocking her hair, you proceeded to out her to the whole world in a time where that was not acceptable. It was just like, and that was season 1. And then it was just like, these girls were winning, but they weren't winning a thing. It was so sad when that girl said, started at Walgreens, still at Walgreens. And you exploited my essay on national television? It was so sad when that girl said, yeah, I closed my Gap, which as a Gap girly, one quick tangent. 2 years ago, I was talking to this guy and I told him, yeah, I'm thinking about getting braces, I don't think it's really anything really wrong with my teeth per se, but, maybe I feel like I would like it better if, my teeth were just a little straighter or whatever. That man opened his mouth and said to me, yeah, then you'd look like a baddie. Once you got your Gap closed and once you got that tooth fixed, then you'd look like a baddie. I said, what you mean by that? Because I'm beautiful. I never said I wasn't beautiful. I just said that was something I was thinking about doing. He was like, yeah, you're cute, but if you get those braces, then you'll be a baddie. And on that day, I promised myself to never close this. Never close it, because one of my number 1 top compliments I get, aside from you smell good, is you have a beautiful smile. And so, if you're going to sit here as a man and tell me, oh, you're going to look better if you close that Gap, it'll never be closed. And that's why I understood what Danny was saying when she said, I'm not closing my Gap. It's nothing wrong with my gap. I'm not closing it. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. And it was. And it was. And for Tyra to sit there and be like, no one's going to want to hire you with that gap in your mouth. And 2-3 seasons later, widen another girl's gap, a white girl's gap at that. Okay. And like I said, it always goes back to the house slave and the field. I'm sorry. It always does. But then you make this girl close her gap. She wins. She moves. And she gets no work because of your show. And then you call her 15 years later and say, I knew that was going to be the case and I did nothing. And you know what? She said that to the right and the wrong person because, first of all, why would you ever say that to anybody? But she said that to the right person because she had said that to the wrong person, baby. She wouldn't be alive to tell that story because what do you mean you ruined my future for your own personal gain? And you know what? Okay. Anyways, I just feel like no matter how Tyra tries to spin it or like tries to like make it seem like this was just this is what the fans wanted to see. This is what they wanted. This is what they needed. They didn't need it that bad, Buki. They didn't. And those girls did not deserve to be exploited on national television and have nothing to show for it. Nowadays, it's a different ballgame with social media and stuff like that. But she knew that at the end of the day, the only one who's going to be benefited by America's Next Top Model was America's failed one. Thank you. Anyways, moving on. I really felt like, because we've been on Tyra's neck for a little bit, and we should stay on it. I really felt like everyone involved should have been held accountable. But everybody was kind of dumping the blame on her. You know, there's a saying that says when something goes wrong, there's 3 sides to every story. There's one person's side, there's another person's side, and there's the truth. And this kind of felt like the people versus Tyra. It kind of felt like everyone else involved, Nigel and Jay and Miss J versus Tyra. When we was on the show, y'all was on her side. And even like I've been watching like a lot of like, you know, videos and analyses of like people talking about, you know, the documentary and stuff like that. Because now that I'm on social media, I be watching a lot of analytical videos and growing this here brain back and this here attention span back. And I highly encourage y'all to get off social media so y'all can take back control of your brains and your lives. But anyways. And one main thing they were saying was, baby, y'all were just as ruthless. Y'all were just as mean, just as instigating and just as enabling of the exploitative and abusive behaviors, if not more. Y'all perpetuated so many of and pushed so much of what she was saying, regardless of if you felt like you had to do that for a check or not. When your morals came to play, you chose money over it. And even whenever Jay was like, I wanted to leave, but they said they would blackball me. Well, if you really truly felt as a half African man that it was dead wrong for a white woman to be in blackface, and they didn't even do that once. I think they did that 3 times or 2-3 times. One was too many, but they did it again and he was there for it all. And if you genuinely felt like that was something that was wrong, wouldn't it have been better for you to have been blackballed for your beliefs? You had to have had enough money by 9 seasons. Wouldn't you have felt like, you know what? I'm not going to be a part of something that's perpetuating blackface. I'm not going to be a part of something that's perpetuating women get exploited and abused for whatever reason, whether it's the time or the day or the night. You know, like, but instead, complacency is just as bad as the abuse. Like, what are we saying? And everybody, the only person that I really felt like was not even really pushing the blame on Tyra, but was more just like, I was me and that's what it was Miss J. Miss J was like, yeah, I said some things and I did some things. And you know what? I can respect that a lot more than someone being like, oh, that was kind of bad. But Tyra made me do it. So, and everybody involved was grown, fully autonomous adults. You get no sympathy from me, Mr. Spears. Death to all that. No, I'm sorry. It's a Wendy reference.
Death to all of them.
Oh. But moving on though. Speaking of Miss J, what happened to her is truly heartbreaking. And life is one big paradox. Because what do you mean you taught models how to walk for years. You taught them how to find their confidence on the runway. You taught Tyra herself how to walk. And now you had a stroke and you can't walk. Wow. This white stuff has got to go. Yeah, that was so sad. And I'm so glad to hear that she is doing much better. And that, she's talking again. And she's on her way to learning how to walk again. But that was really sad and tragic to hear. And I'm not at all surprised that Tyra did not come to visit her. Because there was no monetary gain for that. She has made it so clear that if it's nothing to do with the money, she's not going. Little miss where the money resides. That's why she's in Australia now. And that's why she's getting in trouble for MLMs and stuff now. But hey, I heard that there's another documentary that's coming out. It's not necessarily about America's Next Top Model, but it is about like reality TV shows and stuff like that. And America's Next Top Model will be mentioned. And that's coming out later this year through Vice, I believe. And I'm very interested to see how they take that. I also heard that Tyra does have pull at Netflix because I that would make sense since the show was on Netflix. So that's also why the documentary was spun kind of in the way that it was spun. And I don't think that lady is remorseful in the slightest. A cycle 25, are you crazy? Who's tuning into that? Who's going to be a part of that? Why would y'all, you know what? Hey, okay. At the end of the day, we all got to stand before God and say what we did, what we didn't do. Anyways. My last thing is very sweet, very short, very simple. XO Kitty Season 3 is coming out. If she doesn't pick Mino, I will riot. But I also feel like she's going to pick Mino in a way we don't see coming. And that's going to piss me off. Because she's either going to pick him in the last 5 seconds and then it's going to be like, and then happily ever after. Or she's going to go through this whole, I need to do situationships and I need to do this and I need to do everything else except for get my relationship together. And it's going to be all this tension and all the times when it should be romantic, it's going to be tension and everything's going to be ruined. And then they're going to be like, okay, let's get together. And I'm going to be pissed off because Netflix doesn't even know how to write TV shows anymore. Sorry about it. And yeah, either way, I love a good cringe Netflix teen drama, so I'm going to be there for it. So yeah, y'all, I have literally talked y'all heads off for 50 minutes. But the 2 main things I wanted to talk to y'all about was Singles Inferno, reality check, what I've been watching on Netflix. Y'all, quick little thing. I wanted to rewatch Adventure Time because Adventure Time had came out when I was a child. And I do not remember Adventure Time. I remember the characters, but I do not remember it. And I was trying to figure out, why do I not remember childhood? It's a little hazy. Anyways, but it was coming out when I was in elementary, like early elementary, like second, third grade elementary. So of course I wouldn't really remember that anyways. So I wanted to like watch it like through an adult lens. I watched season 1, episode 1. How the hell was that a child's TV show? What in the world? Like beating the dead zombie townspeople and eating their candy guts? I'm like, okay, as an adult, interesting. Can't wait to see more. As a child, I would have been terrified. But then again, maybe not, because I was watching Courage in like 2nd grade, and that show is scary. You can't tell me otherwise. Even as an adult, I look at some characters and I'm like, and I would have been running and screaming and crying too, because that is scary looking. But yeah, y'all, drop some what y'all watching in the comments. I still have to watch His or Hers. I have a whole list of like shows I've been meaning to watch. Now that I've watched Singles Inferno, I can't wait to like get to like the shows. I'm gonna stop to watch Heat of Rivalry. I don't know. I just hate watching stuff when it's popular, which is why I haven't got on Bridgerton yet, because it's probably gonna be Bridgerton completed, and then I'm gonna be watching it. And then I still haven't watched Can This Love Be Translated, Making the Band, Popstar Academy, and you know what? With everything that's been going on with Manon and stuff like that, I don't even think I want to see it. Because what pisses me off about the token black girl in all these music groups is y'all use and exploit her till you can't use and exploit her no more. And either she, A, stands up for herself, or B, can no longer handle the exploitation. Now everybody's against her. Now everybody's jumping her. That's why you don't ever be the token black nothing, number one. And number two, No shade. No shade. Only people from... I follow the cat side page and I follow Laura and Manon. Do with that information what you will. But, yeah. I also got to watch One Tree Hill, Nana, True Beauty, Heartbreak High. Someone said that if you liked Singles Inferno, you will love 19 to 20. So I've got to watch that. And yeah, so like I said, I'm trying to break this social media habit. So I'm going to be on here more. I'm going to be talking you guys' head off more. I'm going to be using my channel to be whatever I want it to be. Honestly, you guys will be seeing a very big shift in this channel. I have started to watch this guy named Reed on the channel Shameless Nerd. On that channel, he does whatever he wants to do. And that is beautiful. I have for 6 years been trying to do this YouTube thing, failing and doing so many things. I've been a reactor. I've been a vlogger. I've been a college vlogger. I even tried to do my movie commentaries at one point. And I've tried a lot of different things, even on this channel. Some still up, some put down. Ultimately, I'm a jack of all trades and a master of all. Because I hate that jack of all trades, master of none. Who? But, I'm just going to post what I want to post. Like, really, truly. Vlogs, listen to apps, late night with Tasia's. Also, I was going to do my story times in a format where it was like me revisiting relationships. But unfortunately, my thing about my relationship history is that a lot of them have been very toxic and very abusive. I do not want to put something like that or platform something like that because, like, okay, good example. Then I'm done, I promise. This girl that I watch on YouTube, her name's Kai Kalan. I love her down. One of her main things on her channel is her story times. Her story times are very good, very funny. She's a great storyteller. She really makes you feel like you're there, and it's really funny. And she has like a very like loud and outgoing personality. And as ambiverts, I love that because y'all know I could be really and I could be very sometimes more than anything, but I do have that side too. So I love seeing someone who is just real, just really, especially as a black woman, just real bubbly, out there, funny. I love it. One of the main comments on her videos, a vlog, an advice video, a makeup video. When's the next story time? When's the next story time? When's the next story time? Dang. Did you even watch this video? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that is not something I want. I don't ever want to be shackled down by reliving my trauma. I have tried to film a relationship video, what am I trying to say? I have tried to film a crazy ex story time, whatever, twice. Twice I have filmed it. Twice I've sat down and edited it. Twice it has made me feel terrible because I've had to relive it twice by retelling it. Twice by trying to edit it and try to force myself to like make it funny and entertaining. There's nothing funny or entertaining about trauma. So I think that our generation has become very, very dissociated. I think I'll use that word. Dissociated with the word trauma and what it actually means. Siri, define trauma. A deeply distressing or disturbing experience, emotional shock following a stressful event or physical injury, which may be associated with physical shock and sometimes leads to long-term neurosis. So yeah, that's what trauma is. And as somebody who grew up Gen Z, grew up in the era of 9/11, making us rewatch 9/11 as young as kindergarten, school shooting drills, going online and watching people get brutally murdered by police, and we have become desensitized to a lot of trauma. We do not acknowledge that, and we use trauma very loosely. And as someone who's experienced real trauma, it's nothing like, yeah, I have to explain this like all the time. Like, yeah, I laugh about it and like maybe say little quippy, quirky things about it. It's a coping mechanism. It's nothing to be funny. It's nothing to be proud of. It's nothing funny. It's nothing like, to be really, quite frank, exploited. exploit your own self for the enjoyment of others. And I'm trying really hard in the month of March to use March kind of like a refresh, restart New Year's, because the way my 2026 has started off has not been the best. And in the span of 2 months, there's been a few traumatic situations, like genuinely traumatic situations that have occurred. And I have learned through like processing them and doing my best to maintain my relationship with God through processing them, that I feel things. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, I think people over explain their feelings to the point where they don't feel things. And I feel things first. Like, I feel them. I feel sad. I went through a little depression. Like, I feel scared and shocked, and I feel things. And we live in a society right now that tells you don't feel things. You don't actually feel things. This is the this theory. This is the that theory. You choose if you feel things. No, you don't. I feel things. When things are bad, I feel bad. When things are good, I feel good. When I'm coming out the other end of something, I can feel it. I feel things. I feel like we should, as a society, should stop telling people, no, you don't feel that. No, you don't. And that happens as young as, even as a kid. If you tell your parents, oh, I don't feel good. And you might not. You might have a headache. You might have a stomach ache. You might be a little nervous. And they say, no, you're fine. You go to school. Like... And we take that with us into our adulthood. And as someone who's trying to like reclaim their nervous system and just like get themselves back on track with like life, living and feeling, I feel things. I'm not about to tell myself I don't feel bad when I'm recording a story time about how someone abused me or neglected me or exploited me for the entertainment of others because I know it'll bring me views. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I think so many people are really hurting really, really badly right now. I think that the loneliness epidemic is real. I think people don't know how to talk to one another. I think people don't know how to properly express their emotions or regulate them at that. And I think a big reason why social media is booming right now is because it is the number one form of escapism and dopamine hits all on one phone through multiple apps, multiple devices. That is really scary. And when you step back away from social media, the very first thing that happens is you start to feel things. Because 9 times out of 10, you're doom scrolling because you want to shut your brain off. So the number one thing that happens when you stop doing that is you feel things. But the crazy part is, you feel things when you're doom scrolling. You feel left out. You feel like you should be doing more. You feel like you should be rebranding your life every 25 business days. You feel things anyways. You're just feeling them passively. But anyways, that was just like a really big tangent. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not chasing escapism and using how I feel as a means to be entertainment to somebody else. That's not cool to me. That's not cool to y'all. That's not cool. I said that this platform is my digital diary, me, raw and unfiltered. There's many different things I like: makeup and fashion, playing The Sims, reading and coloring and going outdoors and being a pretty pink princess and living in a pretty pink palace. And those are things that I would love to share with y'all. And I don't really have that many people around me right now. Sad as it sounds, I don't really have that many friends around me right now. I'm not saying I don't have friends, but I'm saying I don't have that many around me. And all I really have is me. And I think there's a reason for that. I haven't quite understood yet where God is taking me with that, but there's got to be a reason, right? So with this season of that being the case, we're going to feel things. We're going to live life. We're going to have fun. Sometimes it's going to be good. Sometimes it's not. And we're going to feel it. We're not going to run from it. We're going to feel it. Because my whole life I've been told, oh, you're so sensitive, or you're just saying that because you're sensitive. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Because I feel things. I feel things, and you do too, whether you admit it or not. Like, yeah. So that's it. That's all. I love you guys, and I hope you guys support and love me as much as I love y'all. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, babes. Mwah. A whole hour.